Am I? See if anybody shows up tonight. And the lights are too bright, and I'm all whited out. Not at all surprised. Nope, that's not what I want. Turn that down a little. And the light is that side. That's a little better. I'm still whited out. I'm always whited out. Not at all surprised. So we'll give it a minute, see if anybody shows. I didn't put a thumbnail up tonight. There was too much going on this week. If I make it any dimmer, I'm going to be in the dark. Maybe that'll work. That's a little better. Can't do much about that. If I make it too bright, then I pale out and become, the same cream color ghost as my shirt. And if I make it too dark, then you get all this grainy feed because I'm on the laptop tonight. So it's a little different. Don't really have much of a plan tonight other than, maybe we can work together on stuff and see what your goals for this year are and talk about mine and see what we can come up with. Gotta get the makeup bag out of the way. I still have some things behind me that I have to get packed up because that's going to take a big box. So I have no idea how many are here. Hi, Val. Hello, hello. Are you on my list to send stuff to? I rewrote my list. Even rewriting my list, it's still 4 pages long. I ended up losing the whole weekend after Saturday night. I shouldn't say the whole weekend. I lost Sunday, and then Monday and Tuesday. Sunday we ended up having some leak issues here that had to be cleaned up after, because anytime it rains, we're still going to have leak issues. But hello, Linda Punky. Hi. But that's the fun of owning a house that was built in 1911, and Dad never really did things to the house. So some stuff's wearing out. This is let's see, there have been 2 brand new roofs on this house in the time that I've grown up in it. And there's still a leak that nobody ever found. And now it's become a constant stream every time it rains. Oh, joy. Day Trip Vintage. Hello. I know Jody's sale is still going live right now. And tonight's not a sale night for me. I'm trying to get my calendar all sorted out and doctors sorted out. I don't have a confirmed date or anything, but at some point, depends on what tests show, I might disappear on you guys for a month this year for hernia surgery. Not looking forward to it. But tests still have to be made, but I've had them before, so I know darn well that I've got one. So, you deal with it. Hello, Tia Fane. Tia Fane, let me make a note of that because I know you were interested in a photo album and I need to email you about that. And I always forget. So I'm making notes tonight because it's not a sale. And it's gonna just be kind of a work along with me, or just, like it was the night I had no power, we can just chat about things. Um, I found that I'm going to need to completely kind of restructure what I thought my goals were going to be for 2022. Um, Linda, it's from the therapy, but you sign a disclaimer so you can't get them to cover anything. Traction therapy is not without, let me move my chair closer, is not without risks, because they are stretching you. It's like being in a corset, because they've got this thing strapped around right underneath your chest, tilt you down a little. So you're being pulled on your rib cage is stationary. So everything up here isn't moving. But then they strap it around your hips and they pull. And right underneath the ribs, there's two spots that just, I know, tore. There's a thin layer there that holds everything in. And yeah, and it kind of ripped, which is not uncommon. If you have one, you're prone to more. So Lisa, flippin' crazy, is here. Yay. If you've not been to her channel, let me see if I can get the link, because I don't know if I have any mods that can post links. I'm also not sure. Okay. Here we go. Here's a link to Lisa's channel for Flippin' Crazy, but this is for something that she's already got the thumbnail up that's for on the 6th. So you can set the reminder. She has really, really cool sales for jewelry. Sometimes stuff that you can use for crafting. You didn't think women could get hernias? Oh yeah, we can. I had an umbilical one. Funny, so did my mother. And one a little to the side. And that was from trying to catch a tote that was full of 50 pounds of rock salt, but it wasn't labeled. And I'm picking up all these things and picking them and twist and move. And I picked and there went that. This time around, I know it was from near the end of physical therapy. We were still doing traction, and we were getting to the point where they were up as high as they could go. And we went a little too high, and I ended up in bed that entire weekend in a lot of pain. And because I know what it felt like, and I know what it feels like when that membrane tears, and it's been very tricky. I've been very, very careful, but it's been very tricky because part of it, your actual stomach is way up here. And where one of these is right by it. So sometimes I'll bend and I can actually feel like something is squishing, and then I get the pain, and I'm like, you don't want that. That's dangerous. So I'll take care of it. All the calls are into doctors. Just got to line up tests, and then we'll see when they can get things taken care of. Meanwhile, I got to take care of you guys and all this stuff, and take care of all that. So I tried something new tonight too. I'm trying to learn. Now, you could tell from to me, it looks like it's kind of grainy. I don't know how you guys are saying it. Oh, for the first hernia, yes, that's how I know what the recovery time is going to be like. I ended up spending 6 weeks flat on my back for the other hernia surgery, because I don't think I was awake even 3 minutes, and then I sneezed. Now, any of you who have seen me sneeze during a live sale know there's never just one sneeze with me. There's several. There's at least 4 or 5, and they're that full body to the head going, and the diaphragm popping in, and I ripped stitches from the surgery that they had just done. oh joy. So that put me in a lot more pain than I would have normally been in. So I know what to expect. So I'm going to plan for the worst, which would be 6 weeks, pretty much on my back, and hope for the best, which would be 2.5, 3 weeks, maybe. It all depends on how they can do things. Technology's great. I mean, sometimes they just put little tiny incisions in and just put little camera in one side and other little things in the other, and boom. That's cool when they can do that. So, hi Nettie. So that's the thing, but it's making me have to figure out some things. This year's goal was towards getting this year's plan was to hopefully see about getting a down payment on a new used car, but that's not going to happen. The roof has just gotten to where we have plastic going stapled to the ceiling where there's a hole that's like this big because it collapsed. And we have plastic stapled from that down to one of these cat litter buckets that's like this high. And that sucker, it's a steady stream now. And Mike's been out there a couple times trying to find it. I'm also finding pieces of roofing shingle that we can't figure out where they're coming from. So that's not good. Oh, yeah, your goal was to finally get to PA, Lisa? Yeah, Lisa, you are the first one I heard that had their rent jump pretty high. And I've now know 2 other people I know who've also had that happen. You're all 3 in different states, too. You're all 3 in different states, so. And I feel so bad because you were really looking forward to that, so. And the jump in rent was just insane to be 33% rent. That's just price gouging. Really. Nothing else has gone up that much. Yes, and everyone I know that's had that happen has had people that aren't the best landlords to have. I don't have that problem. I am the landlord. I own the place and all the crap inside it. Oh my goodness. So our goal is we have to find a way to get a new roof. And now with shingles coming from God knows where, because Mike couldn't see any spot. And we know there's a raccoon that has gotten in there. What worries me is the raccoon can get into the spot that's over my bedroom. I'm not worried about it coming in the bedroom. What I'm worried about is that there is crawl space that attaches from that area to the main attic. That's what I'm worried about. I don't want to be up in that attic and be staring at something. We went through this already when Mama Raccoon got into the packing room through the busted window. No, don't want that problem. I also don't want that problem because, you don't want to have workmen up there and have them have the daylight scared out of them for a raccoon. That wouldn't be good. Not when you're up on a ladder that high. It is a full 3-story house. And the house itself, because where the basement is, the house itself, the first story is already about 18 to 20 inches up from dirt level. So there's basement windows. There's one of those that has to be replaced too, but that's minor at this point. If I have to just screw a board over it, I will. I took a walk around the property carefully, and one of the windows that I knew was dry rotting because it's on the south side of the house, but it turns out that sucker has dry rotted so badly that the glass pane had actually dropped. It dropped into the wood, so it was open about that much. No wonder my feet were freezing, because that basement window is pretty much right underneath me. So Who else has goals for this year? What's your goal? What's your goal that's for the overall year, the big one you're going to work for? Lisa, I think your goal is trying to keep your head above water and take care of your little pretty babies. Lisa has pretty fur babies that like each other, not like my cat that seems to hate all other cats. Except Shadow, and we haven't seen Shadow in 5 days, so that's not good. So, your plan is not to make any, Linda? I found it just helps my mental state to have some kind of overall goal. Yeah, it's difficult when it's just you. I mean, I have a disabled brother that lives here and he pays me rent. And then he bragged about how he's getting a pension because he's finally hit the right age this year on Valentine's Day. And I'm like, yeah, but your rent was supposed to be 350 and you haven't been giving me that. You've been only giving me 300 for over a year now. So maybe it's time to start giving me that 50. Oh, no, I need to get a vehicle. Yeah, he's driven my vehicle into the ground. My vehicle now has over 220,000 miles. 100,000 miles. I don't know how you ever say that. I never could say it right. Oh, that's good. I'm horrible. I have a lot of paperwork that I need to pin down. I have 2 boxes from one theater group, and I need to pin it down because the archives in Arden, I think, have all the old minutes, but apparently there's a couple years in the 90s they're missing. Well, I have those. So they need to let me know so I can clear this crap out of my house. It's a lot of paper to recycle because a friend of mine gave me his paperwork when he moved because he was guildmaster and then I was guildmaster after him and then he was guildmaster again. So he was guildmaster after me. Yeah, that's right. I know, borrow his. So I was gonna work on. I have no idea what I was gonna work on. I see a flaw in my plan. I was gonna start getting photos of all these books because these all have to get onto eBay. I still have breakable stuff sitting on. I got it. I gotta move it. Hey, where's my black light? You wanna see something cool? 'Cause this one I put upstairs. I'm keeping this. I don't know who made it though. It has cherries. There's cherries on it. Cherries in the bottom. Look at this. You see how much that thing glows? Thing lights up like Chernobyl. 3 Mile Island. What's the other one? Fukushima? One is a place and the other one's where the reactor is in Japan. Oh wow. Yeah, if you make jewelry, crafting jewelry, Lisa of Flippin' Crazy also has crafting hangouts where you all craft together. Soon there will be I think I'm just about have enough animals to have an all animal sale because he'll be one of them. I found him. He's really cute. Just needs to get pictures and go on eBay. I had that at one live sale and the starting price was $50 and I think everybody went, ah! Because I don't usually have that's that much money. But boy, this is Harsa, Israel. And I haven't written down who those initials are for the artist. Where's the camera? There we go. But this cool mid-century modern kind of design There are bowls, there's pitchers, there's these big vases. So he did quite a few pieces that were this design, but they're all hand done. And they tend to go for about $100 a piece. More this is what started at 50. Because online they're going for 80 to 120. So I started that one low for you guys. This was the elephant. Yeah. Damn. I like the bamboo side of it. I'm not big on elephants. But I just about, I think, have enough. This is one of the problems why I wanted to have an office space. I don't really have space here. I don't have anywhere where I can like put stuff up on shelves and really see what I've got. And that's why we had started the Black Hole Challenge of clearing out that one room and getting me an office. Now there is a Black Hole Challenge playlist. You can see how far we got, and then you'll notice that it just drops into the oblivion. But that's because I got hurt and had the 2-pinch nerves in my spine. So I lost the rest of from mid-May to, the end of the year. I lost the rest of 2021 for working on that room. Any mid-century modern cats? No, I haven't found any. I haven't found any. And TFA, and you're right. There's different buyers and collectors on eBay. I have some plush that I need to get onto eBay as well. Nobody wanted that. Maybe I'll put that on eBay. It's a Lennox frame, but nobody wanted it. So I may put that one on eBay. I dropped something. This has to go upstairs too. I love these little paw in the air cats. They're good luck, and I know it means different things depending on which paw is up, but I never remember which. And this is a Jody Renshaw piece. Scooby and the TARDIS. So that's got to go upstairs. What else is here? I think I pulled this out of a book. It's vanilla cream cake. Looks like it might be worth it. You, however, not. Yours. Yeah. I do know this is staying. I might have 2 of these. So that might show up. I don't know if there's many. Hello, CDC Vintage. I don't know if there's really too many Gilbert and Sullivan people that would like that. And this is one I found and I haven't had a chance to read yet. It's the Hg Wells Scrapbook. And it's all kinds of illustration art as well as biography of him, overviews of a lot of his stories, and a bunch of his short stories, which are hard to find. I like Hg Wells stuff. Well, this was the I had a batch of old coloring books. This is the only one I kept. I mean, I know he's not a snowman, but I just thought that was really cute because that's all felt. And only the head is really dimensional. All the rest of the picture, they're all flat. You can see how the string sticks out, but all the rest of them are like little those gummy seals, the poinsettia, the cat, the little pixie. They're all old gummy seals sticking up out of his bag. So that should go in Christmas away. I couldn't find it. So Maneki Neki. Neko. Neko is the Japanese for cat. This should be out in the kitchen. That's my because that's another one. And I think we sold off most of the boxes that night, but that one I wanted to keep. That's for the sushi plate that hasn't seen me since I got hurt. Oh, you belong to Boy Scouts. That should be over in the big tub over there. What is this? Oh. Okay, just make me depressed. It's the bill when I had to take Gandalf down to the emergency vet down in Delaware last February. And we ended up losing him 3 weeks later anyway. That can go in recycling. No need to keep that. He's buried out in the backyard with all the other animals. So I will never, ever, ever read Stephen King's Pet Cemetery. Uh-oh. Ah, this is so old it's disintegrating. It just disintegrated all over my phone. Would I still be willing to sell that at 50? Yes. Yes, I would, Linda. So email me. My email is NBK, which is my initials, 1965 at verizon.net. Email me and we'll talk. Iris, is that your challenge? Is the stack of stuff in your bedroom? Oh, this was more, okay, The Simpsons, and this was something I bought my son for Christmas. I already gave it to him, so that's just for reuse as packing. Now, this thing, as soon as I tilted it, all kinds of bits and pieces from the spine just fell all over my desk. And this is the fun of having gotten that book collection. That book collection went way back in time for some of what was here. Now, this particular book is from, let me figure these Roman numerals out, 18, right? Okay, M is 1,000. D, what's D? I've forgotten. D is 500 because C is 100. So 5, 6, 7, 8 is L. Is L in Roman numerals 50? Because if it is, this is 1855. And it's, I can show you the first folio. Well, first 2 folios are completely off. But the Republican Court, or American Society in the Days of Washington. And it's supposed to be with 21 portraits of distinguished women. And at some point, somebody took all the portraits out. I was so bummed when I found out that they took out all the portraits. Now, because it had all of the wives, which you don't usually see. Old Boy Scout compasses. Yeah, Doug. Are they the old metal ones or the old plastic? The square, well, the rectangular lucite ones. That are there's old lucite ones, and they still make them, and they make them out of clear plastic that are about that big. And then they'll have the compass part up here, and it has all kinds of weird little stuff in red at the bottom. They're worth more if they're the old metal ones, the old brass ones. And the best place to research and sell that is online, because there is a big market on eBay for old Boy Scout stuff. Not so much the Cub Scout stuff doesn't do as well, but the Boy Scout stuff does. Though I hear people are buying up Cub Scout stuff because the colors are blue and yellow, or as they call it, blue and gold, but it's blue and yellow, and the Ukrainian flag is blue and yellow. So people have started buying up some of the pins from Cub Scouts that are blue and yellow and wearing them in solidarity with Ukraine. So I'm not sure. I will have to research what I can do with this one. Without the plates, the value of this book is completely shot by not having the plates. It should have had plates of Mrs. Alexander Hamilton and Mrs. Washington, Mrs. Madison, what are the Mrs. Adams? What other names might you guys recognize? I mean, I recognize a couple of them, but I was just so bummed because you don't find those very often. And now, without the plates, the book's only worth, in the condition that it's in, without the plates, the book's only worth about $8. Because the cover's off. The spine is completely dry rotted. And all the text pages are there. But now it's just a reading copy and not in great shape. So, thank you, Iris. Let's see if I can do that on here. There we go. I think I got you, Lisa. I'm not used to doing this through YouTube. So, you had to go look for the email? Yeah. So, now one thing I noticed is that I can see that the super chat is in here. At least it shows on mine for YouTube. I'd have super chats, but I don't know if that shows up when you do it through StreamYard. Where can I put you? I can put you over here because you're not really going to go anywhere. No point taking photos of that. This one would be good. Don't you love when a book has a cool cover? Which you can't tell at all the book's about. Jackson was kind of bitter. He was an interesting piece of work. Let's see if I can take photos of this. But I love reading history books. But one of the things that my great uncle used to tell me, if you really want to learn history, find firsthand accounts that hadn't been polished or slanted by a newspaper. Find firsthand accounts. And even those you might have to take with a grain of salt, but they're still better than sometimes what you find in history, because history is written by the victors. When you're using StreamYard, just go to YouTube and pop out the chat and put it over the StreamYard chat. I don't know what you're talking about, how to do that. Yeah, I know that the mic on this laptop is absolutely horrible. It's pretty horrendous. Hopefully I can upgrade at some point. Let's see if I can get a decent photo of this. Probably not if I don't turn the Okay, how many of you do this? You go to take a picture of something and then you find out that your flash is off. Because I don't think that's enough light. That worked. So yeah, I have so much. My scouts laugh at me, but I am very, very technology challenged. So I'm pretty bad at it. Really pretty bad at it. So I have a lot to learn. Okay. So let's see. So the plans this year for the house are gonna have to be um seeing if I can find a grant for help with a new roof. And and then we'll see what else can get done. There's other little stuff around the house I can fix. Like there's on this most old houses, the staircase has this rounded piece on the front edge of the steps. That's not always a solid piece. Sometimes it's a piece of trim work. And on my main staircase, it's a piece of trim work. Only on the main staircase. It's not that way on the steps to the third floor. But there, two of them are coming loose. They're coming out. They're pulling out, and then dirt gets in there, which pushes them out further. So I need to clean those out. And but that's an easy enough fix. I've done a lot of um carpentry work, basic carpentry, doing community theater. And so I wouldn't have a problem being able to do that. I just hadn't gotten to it yet. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to do the back cover. I know a lot of people. How many of you ever listed on eBay and done it right through your phone? I've done it with one or two things, but I found that there are limits. Because my phone, this thing does not seem to let me really crop and edit the photos real well. I have an easier time doing that in the laptop. Ooh. Oh, I might want to read this one. Victorian and Edwardian art. I love the Edwardian period. I like their stuff. I like pre-Raphaelite art. You list everything on the iPhone? This is a hand-me-down phone. I don't even know I'm assuming it's an iPhone. I don't even know how to tell. That's sad that I don't even know how to tell. Because Michael gave me this one. I do know one thing that is a challenge. Books don't fit in that little. I mean, because you saw it. That's what had been sitting up here. That's my light box, and books don't fit in there. Well, it might say on the back of it, I'd have to get it out of the container because this is a case. So my goals this year is I want my health back. I need to get it back because we are finally going to the summer camp I have wanted to go to for years. So I am not missing Boy Scout summer camp. It is the last week of July. It is my sanity break for the year. It's a week away. Yeah, I gotta sleep in a cot, but we have ways around that. We have ways to get around that. And I don't want to have an epidural shot this year to go do it. So, because I did last year, my lord. No, we're not. We're not going to Barton. the boys have voted to go to Camp Mincy, which isn't that far away from me. You know, it's up in the base of the Poconos kind of area. Um, I think I think not far from the Allentown area of Pennsylvania. So so we're finally going to Camp Mincy. I know I'm going to be eaten alive by mosquitoes because we aren't as far north. Our my favorite's always been Camp Barton, but that's the one. That's the one that's up in New York. It's right on Lake Cayuga, which is one of the Finger Lakes. I miss Barton. I want to go back to Barton. Um, Lehigh. It might be. I think that might be where it is, Doug. I know it's not that far away from Resica Falls. But it's like when you get up that way, you have to go over this way to Resica, and then I think for Mincy, you have to go the other way. So if you guys come across these, this is a Sotheby's catalog, and it says 20th century British art. Now, when you find these, what these are auction catalogs, and they can be worth some money. Somewhere around, I have the one from Jackie Kennedy Onassis, the auction of some of her stuff. And I know that one goes for it used to go anyway, for a couple of $100. So, hello, Grace. You miss going snowmobiling in the Adirondacks. I've never been snowmobiling. I've never had the opportunity. I had the opportunity to try skiing once. Never do that again. Waxed boards strapped to your feet. No, I'd rather use a sled. And none of this plastic sleds. I like the good old fashioned flexible flyer, you know, the metal with the wood slats, because you can steer them. You know what you can't steer? Plastic. And you can't steer those stupid round saucer ones. Lord, those things are bad. Those things are real bad. I think we still have a saucer in the basement. I need to take it to the junkyard as it's all probably solid aluminum. There's a thing in there. See if that worked. So, yeah, see, I love being able to steer. We used to go to Chester Park for sledding. Now, there's one area where it's a big hillside here, a little short hillside here, but they're not directly opposite each other. So there's space for the little kids to go here, bigger kids to go here. But the teenagers, there's a road that goes down the hill and in an S curves, and then it makes a tight curve and you go across the bridge. If you don't get that turn just right, you're going to slam into the side of the bridge, which I did at least once. Once, definitely. And the second time, I think things have been compacted too far down because I kind of got thrown. And the sled went that way, but I kind of got thrown. So I think it got packed too down and I hit the actual curb part of the bridge for the sidewalk. That's not good either. But if you went straight from the top of the hill instead of following the curve, you had to duck because they had the big chunks of telephone pole with a cable that went between the two. And you'd put your head down so you could go under the cable, and then it dropped. You actually would be airborne, and it dropped at such a degree, and then you'd hit that, and then you'd go straight. But you'd better stop yourself, or you're ending up in the creek. Mount Pocono. Oh, wow, Doug, it's only 30 minutes from you? Oh, awesome. Cool. Because I'll be there the last week of July. getting myself into being bored for a good part of it, but maybe getting myself into trouble. Being that it's that close, now because we usually take so many kids, we usually always charter a bus. But box just fell down. But we'll probably Mike and I will probably drive up, and that way I can maybe take his car and disappear. Iris, what did you do to that poor library card? You mangled it? How do you mangle a library card? I love my library card because in Pennsylvania, you can interlibrary loan from any library in the state, and it's a big state. So I've managed to, but you have to watch their search thing usually only lets you search what's in your county. So sometimes you have to go to the librarian and go, I need you to search through the state. I've done that a lot of times. Finding books that are on particular artists or styles, or even like the books, the reference books that we went through the shelf that one week. And we went through my shelf. I've gotten some reference books. I haven't been able to keep them, but I've gotten them through interlibrary loan. Sometimes I'm getting them from pretty far out in the state. It depends on who's got it. Knitting books. Ooh. I know how to knit a scarf. That's it. I can knit a straight line and cast off a straight line. That's it. That's all I ever got taught. I don't know how to read any of the I don't know how to read any of the stuff for it. What are the patterns? I don't know how to read that. None of it. None at all. American Illustration, 1890-1925, romance, adventure, and suspense, Glenbow Museum. This was a museum exhibition catalog. And it's an older one. So most of the images in here are not in color, which is not nearly as much fun. But one thing I do know from having worked at the Delaware Art Museum, Alice Barber Stevens. Hey, she's a local girl. Alice Barber Stevens was in Arden and in Rose Valley. She's a local girl. But a lot of the originals, some of them were, if they knew they were going to be in black and white, some of the original paintings are in black and white. I learned that from working at the Delaware Art Museum, is that they have some Howard Pyle as well as several other. They have Alice Barber Stevens. They have a lot of illustration art, and some of it actually is done in oils. Sometimes it's in charcoal, but they're actually done in shades of black, white, and gray because they knew they were going to be reproduced in black and white, so they painted in black and white, which is really pretty cool. That's definitely pretty cool. But if you're ever out and about and you find old museum catalogs for exhibitions, don't be afraid to get them, because often they can turn you a profit. Oh yeah, go harass Farm Girl for me. Well, let go of the wig for the queen. You're not allowed to pull on that. This is another one to be on the lookout, but be mindful. Child's Garden of Verse by Robert Louis Stevenson. There's a lot, I mean, hundreds of publications of this particular book. But some of them are worth money depending on who the illustrator was. And this one is Juanita C. Bennett. You can see that's her name down there. I love this one. I have to double check Absolutely love her images. But I have to double check. Um, that's another cool one. I have to double check the value on this one because for a while there, this one was going for about um $20 to $30. This is from 1932 Whitman Publishing. So I will have to double check it again and run the comps because this stuff's been sitting over here for over a year now. Because all this was stuff that I had been working on before I fell. So and that was in May. So the stuff's been sitting over there for almost a year because I wasn't able to do it once I hurt myself. Avi break. Hello. I don't really remember you. Hi, Cam's Folly. And of course, you have the damsel in distress. It's always a princess on horseback somewhere, right? But if this one, the biggest problem in this one is, as you can see, is all the little tears on top and bottom of the dust jacket. That matters. There are people that want perfect dust jackets. And then there's other people that want it for the artwork, so they don't really care. As always with a book, if the better the dust jacket, most of the times, the better the pricing will be. Hey, Lisa, I think some of this came from you. I have a bunch of Coca-Cola Olympic pins from 1960 California game. I almost, and then I didn't have enough to do it. I almost got myself an Olympic pin from this year because they had ones that have somebody's selling them online, but they had the bobsled one. I really like the bobsled one. Oh, now this one definitely has to go online. So it's the Pennsylvania Impressionist. But I just realized it's going to show backwards to you guys, isn't it? The foreword is by James A. Michener. Yeah, that James A. Michener that wrote Shogun and I don't know how many other wonderful novels. And this is signed. It's even got a news and review thing in here, but it's signed by Thomas Folk, who is the one that wrote it. So this is another one of those wonderful things that was in. This is what took us so long when I inherited the book collection of why I took so long. It took 3 months to empty out the house of books because I stopped on the way home. Yes, he wrote Hawaii. That's another one of his. Oh God, I think he has like 50. He's got at least 20 big name books. The only one I can remember is the one I liked the most was Shogun, and he wrote Hawaii. And I've drawn a. It's been so long since I've read any Michener. You can read backwards, Linda. But we had to go through every book in the house because we had to see what ones were autographed. And there were ones that were autographed that were 50, 60 years old. And then there was more contemporary ones like this one. And there were so many books. We filled my car every time. And I sent pickup truckloads to the Arden Fair book booth. If you're ever in the northern Delaware, if you're ever in northern Delaware on the end of the summer, that's Labor Day is the end of the summer. I always get them reversed. But they have this great folk fair called the Arden Fair. And it's been going on for over 100 years now. And it's in Arden, Delaware, and they have a big antiques section that you can go through, antiques and collectibles. That's the only thing you have to pay admission to get into, is the antiques market. You do have to pay admission to get into that. Every guild that's in Guild Hall has to run something. So they have the dinner guild runs the food booths. But why did you put the actors in charge of the booze? There's a beer garden with live music all day long. But you put the Arden singers in charge of the beer truck. Why? Why did you think it was a good idea to put the actors in charge of the alcohol? That was maybe not a good idea. Oh, you missed the Penn Renaissance Fair? Yeah. I haven't been up to that in ages. God, it's been years since I've been up to the Ren Fair. But let's see, they usually have some rides, but they're more for the real little kids. But there's usually at least 100 crafters crammed in there. There's also a big book booth that's inside the building. And they have all kinds of, because it's all by donation. I ran it for 17 years. I ran the book booth. So, well, I don't know, Lisa. Depends on, Pennsylvania is a big state. Depends on what part of the state you're going to come to. I'm in that southeast corner. Oh no, your phone tried to shut me down. Oh, the horror. What else is back here? Oh. Oh, I had these guys at a live sale. Nobody wanted them. So I think the horse is USA and the others might be Germany or Japan. They're celluloid animals. So they're very thin and lightweight, because celluloid itself is usually very thin and lightweight. No. The problem with celluloid is the fact that it is very thin. And what happens is this. You see that little, most of them have a crack somewhere, because celluloid starts to shrink a little bit as it gets old. And these suckers, my mother played with these as a little girl, as a real little girl. And I don't know if it was a Noah's Ark thing or what, but she had a couple of these. I have more out in the kitchen, but nobody wanted the little celluloid animals. I have two sheep with curled horns. I just realized that they got horns on them. A cow and 2 horses. I don't know what to do with them. They're just sitting in a little bowl. Oh yeah, and very flammable. Keep these suckers away from any heat. Don't go leaving them on a sitting on a radiator. Iris, you just want to see what's in the house. Got my English. I had to open up a new box. I have a Twinings English breakfast tea. Hey, stretching like that's no fun. Ooh. All right, let's see what's in here. So the big goal, let's see, is the house. The smaller goal is, I wanted to be a school teacher, but I got Michael instead. Um, I I grew up in a family that tried telling me that I was too stupid to go to college. Girls didn't need a my dad's family didn't believe girls needed a higher education. He paid for 2 years of college for my sister, who's 14 years older than I am. And then when she came home after 2 years, he said he wasn't going to pay for her to go back because she didn't have an engagement ring on her hand. Right. Okay. So she was smart. She went and talked to his mother, who was a working woman, who went, no, no, no. So she got to go. Now, keep in mind, I'm 14 years younger, but I was the baby of the family and always told I wasn't smart enough. So I didn't have any plans for college because nobody ever talked to me about it until the last day of high school from my favorite teacher, who let me know how disappointed she was that she hadn't been asked for any letters. I had no idea what she meant. And I asked her, I was like, letters, what are you talking about? She goes, reference letters for college. I'm really kind of disappointed that you didn't ask me for any. Can I know why? I was like, because I don't even know what you're talking about. That's why. She then spent that summer on her own time working with me to get me to figure out a way because I couldn't take the SATs. I had spent 5 years in Christian schools that were accelerated Christian education, so could be on different grade levels for different subjects. I'm dyslexic with numbers, and it was a lot worse then. I never had algebra. I still don't understand algebra. When the minute I'm fine as long as you have at least one number in the equation, but the minute you start adding all letters, I'm screwed. So, because I'd always wanted to be a teacher, so she helped me figure out a backdoor way to get into college. 2 years at a community college, take their placement exam, and then when you get enough credits, you transfer to a 4 year. So I did, and I was working full time and going to school full time. And then my dad died, and his was the first. We had 11 funerals in 6 months. And at the end of those 6 months, I suddenly had custody of a 2-year-old nephew. I finished out that semester, but it was hard. And there wasn't enough family support for me to continue trying to become instant mom to a 2-year-old, take care of my mom who was still in shock. I honestly believe that if Mike hadn't come into our lives the way he did, we'd have lost her too after dad's sudden death. Um, but so now I don't waste what I learned. I was getting a degree, I was getting a dual major, secondary education and communications. So rather than waste it, I'm an assistant scoutmaster in Boy Scouts. I teach all the time in my own way, and I don't have to make up lesson plans. Yes. Hi, Lisa. So yeah, I mean that the plan was to be a school teacher, um, and teach high school because you always need a theater teacher and public speaking, argument and debate. So that was the plan. And then I wanted to then get my master's and my doctorate and go teach in the law school and teach lawyers how to not lie, but not necessarily tell the truth either. uh, my dad had an aneurysm across the stomach, the aortic artery, which is the one that goes across your stomach. Yeah, he had an aneurysm. The sad part is that I don't know why he died. We live blocks from the hospital. Mom got him in the car and to the hospital, and they found it in time. They threw him right into surgery. They found it. They fixed it. He was due to come home the next day. He'd already had the surgery. He was in the hospital for 4 days. That last day, I went and I saw him and I got him to sign a couple of checks because there were bills that needed to get paid. And they said maybe he could come home the next day. And that night, his body just started shutting down, and they should have done an autopsy, but mom said no. But we don't really know what it was, but he kept telling everybody stupid crap. So for any of you men that are in here, explain to me what it is with guys who think that if they are hitting the age their father was when their father died, that they think it's only a matter of time before they're going to die. Because it's not just my dad that had that idea. I've run into a couple of men that have this idea in their head that if their dad died when their dad was only, say, 60, then, oh, well, when they hit 60, well, then they should be dead too. And anything after that is, and I quote my father, borrowed time. He honestly believed that he should have already been dead. And kept telling mom that, kept telling me that, telling some of the other siblings that, and I kept telling him he was being an ass. But I knew something was wrong because he made me come back that day and he hugged me. I can count on one hand the number of times my father ever hugged me in my life. He was not that kind of demonstrative person. And he made a point of making me come back and shake his hand, which is something he would never do to a woman. Because, kind of misogynistic jerk there. But I mean, I do love my dad. I just didn't like some of his attitudes. But he made me shake his hand. And I walked out of there in tears because something just told me he wouldn't be doing that if he didn't. Something's not right. So, but he and that they can check for a bubble on that vein by a simple test. It's just a oh, why am I drawing a blank? Ultrasound. It's an ultrasound test to check that artery to make sure there's no bubbles, there's no thin spots. Oh. And luckily she said, well, that's a good thing she survived. Yeah, I mean, all four of my brothers. Well, yeah, Steve outlived Dad because we lost our oldest brother in August last year. But that aneurysm in the stomach, that can be hereditary. You could be more prone to it by your DNA. So 2 of them I know had to have some little procedure done. They checked mine, I'm fine. They checked Gary, he's fine. So so we don't have to worry, but it seems like it's something that can be passed along. So, but it's something you can easily get just checked. But that's the problem with aneurysms is there's often not any warning until till it happens. And he just doubled over in pain at the bottom of the steps and kept saying, no, I'll be fine. And then it happened and there was more pain. And mom's like, no, get in the car now. There's a lot on losing a parent because that's expected. And there's some on sibling loss because that's also expected at some point. You're all going to get to an age where you start passing on. What's not written that much about, nobody ever wants to talk about, is when you lose a child. That's harder. There's not even a word for that. There's also not really a specific word when you lose a sibling. So there's still 5 of us kicking around. I mean, that made Phyllis the elder statesman, made my sister the elder one of the family. Bless her heart. She's always tried. I think she kind of felt obligated to because Steve lived in California. And so she, by default, was the oldest one here where the rest of us are. I feel bad because I do think in some ways, I think she kind of felt like she had to keep an eye on all of us, which is very sweet of her. Happy days. Happy days. I was just looking at your stuff. I'm trying to figure out how I can fit the paper doll book in the same box with the other stuff. It doesn't want to fit. So I might have to send them separate. Oh, here's another fun book. There's no cover. Okay, so why did I keep this? Why did I keep this? To Robert, with love and best Christmas wishes from Emily. Christmas 1915. Okay, what are you? Old Friends Are Best, selected and arranged by Richard Brooks. Oh, it's a sayings book. Or what sometimes they call them maxims. So, what it is, and I don't think you're going to be able to see it, each page is framed, but they did it in this really pale color on cream colored paper. So it's hard to see the frame. But then there's sayings on each page. Sometimes there's only one. The one that's by itself, I am more and more impressed with the duty of finding happiness by George Eliot. So they're all little quote things. Well, that's probably why I kept that, because that's always kind of fun to put them like in a little note or something from someone. Your oldest is going to be 30 this coming October, Iris. Iris, you're not old enough to have a 30-year-old. Who are you kidding? You are not old enough to have a 30-year-old child. What were you, 12? Linda, honey, if I tried to keep an eye on my brothers, 3 of them would have driven me crazy long ago. Definitely. Where's a good quote? Come on. Ruskin, huh? Sunshine is delicious. Rain is refreshing. Wind braces up and snow is exhilarating. There is really no such thing as bad weather, only difficult kinds of weather. Just says Ruskin, so it's probably John Ruskin. Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, there's a lot of difficult kinds of weather. Just ask the South. Yeah. Sometimes that why did I keep this is a rhetorical because my brain is trying to figure out why I still have it. Because, like this one, 6 titles in this series. So apparently, Mary Lee was also a campfire girl, a Red Cross girl, and then she went to college. The inscription's from 1932, Whitman Publishing. So this is what they call a series book. And when did series books really start? I mean, maybe the 1920s? Because like the Nancy Drew that you read now is not the original Nancy Drew. Sometime in the 50s or 60s, they rewrote them. They completely rewrote them to make them more contemporary to the time. But she was a little more, you know, a little more badass, if you'll pardon the phrase. Um, in those early ones, in the early ones, she actually has a gun. Only in 1 or 2 of them, but she's got a gun and she knows how to use it. This is another one that was probably just kept It was probably just kept because of the little their little snippets. But it's B. Franklin. He snatched the lightning from heaven and the scepter from tyrants. So if you ever come across these little small books like this, look for this kind of thing. This is what you want to see. Privately printed. I have done so well with things that were privately printed because they usually were very few editions. They're usually wonderfully handcrafted. There are people who will collect them just based on who the printer was. Sometimes they're special in that they have a particular artist. So, yeah, see, Nancy Drew always ended up at some point having to kind of be rescued by somebody. And those early ones, no, she didn't. Bobbsey twins, Nancy Drew, Hardy Boys all had a rewrite, but they didn't do much to rewrite Bobbsey twins. Some of the Nancy Drew books, it's a vastly different book. Bobbsey twins, not so much. And I cannot remember the name of the man who wrote them. Yes, Nancy Drew was written by a man. I can't remember his name. My sister had a few of the original ones. Mine were all of the yellow cover hardback ones from later. This just says it's Sidsel long skirt, which is the name, and it's translated from the Norwegian. But wait till you see this. Look at this. Fabulous looking. Wow, I love little books. I really like these little kind of books. And this was printed in Great Britain. The Grant Educational Company Limited, Glasgow, which means it was printed in Scotland. Cool. Well, I kept that to read. I'm a bad habit of that. I have so many things that I wanted to read. I've already read this one, I know. This is The Land of Evangeline. Evangeline was a very famous poem. Oh yeah, the Oz books. The Oz books were from like the 1910s. I know I have lots of beautiful books. This one I know I had looked up and it was printed in Canada, in Toronto. Evangeline is a very famous Longfellow poem. And this person illustrated in color in black and white, but you're not telling me who did the illustrations. This is the 4th edition, but there were only 12,000 printed. And I don't know what Annapolis Royal is, but there's some beautiful pictures in here, and they look like they were all watercolors, but it doesn't say by who. And then towards the back, there are some black and white photos. And this is another one where the condition is a little iffy because they did this and they used to do this, and I hate it. They used to do this to what we would consider, we would consider this a paperback book. But in the 1910s and in the 20s, they would use cardstock cover, but look, it would overlap the actual pages a little bit, but it's not that thick cardstock. It's very thin cardstock. So they always end up pinched and folding over, and then they start breaking off, which is a real problem. So those two are on the pile. I definitely have to look up and do the comps on it and see about getting them listed, see if those photos came out on my phone. And then I found something that I had unpacked when we were talking about my dad. Now you guys need to help me on this because I don't know what these came from. I'm thinking maybe an erector set of some kind. Do they have a name? Not that I can read. That's not a name, that's a number. Well, that's no help. So I have a tiny little hammer. That's a ball peen hammer. See, I even know what kind that is because you have the rounded part. That's a ball peen hammer. And you've got an open wrench. Here we go. I don't know what they came from. I mean, they're not very big. Hi, Mary. Linda Stratermeyer. Was his last name Stratermeyer? Because there is a Stratermeyer that wrote something, and my brain is just not remembering completely. They're too big for a dollhouse. They're way too big for a dollhouse. These are 2 inches long. They're 2 inches long, so they're too big for a dollhouse. But I'm wondering is because the old erector sets, I think they used to come with some kind of tools, but I don't know about the tiny little hammer one. The tiny little hammer one seems to be made out of a slightly different metal. So I'm not sure that goes with them, but I found them all together. And I'm wondering if they're a erector set or... Okay, so back in the day when they used to sell toys that were like really cool and creative, they used to sell little miniature steam engines you could build that actually worked. Little radios, little telegraph things that would actually work. And I wonder if they might not be tools from a kit like that. They're going to need some research so I know what to do with them. Yeah, the hammer's throwing me off but the hammer is definitely not the same. Come here, you. When you can see them up close, I think you guys are only seeing the fact that they're all gray. But when you see them up close, the hammer's not made the same way. First off, the hammer's too perfect. See, these are kind of rough around the edges. They're not really smoothed off. But this guy, you could see the dot, which is like part of them from the mold, but the rest of him is perfect. And any mold lines on this are smoothed off and perfect. So I don't think the hammer goes with the other two tools. I think the other two tools are from something else. And they're not quite the same color of gray as the hammer is. The hammer is really cool. Too big for a dollhouse, though. Yeah, maybe a tiny tool set for something. Yeah, see, I don't know if the hammer, well, they're all solid metal, but the hammer seems to be on par, even as skinny as it seems to be the same weight just about as the others. So, Oh, this should be in the scout box. First aid derby and our troop number. We got to change that. That says 60 years. That troop's been around since 1952. Been more than 60 years. I knew the gentleman whose father started the troop, and he started the troop 2 years before his son was born. So that's how I remember the date. I know he started that troop in 1952, that Boy Scout troop, and it's still going. So, yeah, like I said, I don't think that ball peen hammer was the same thing. I don't know that they would go to a clock. I have a few of my great grandfather's clockmaker's tools, and they are not as they're really nice quality. They're kind of on par with the quality of that hammer, in that they are very solid, very detailed, and there are no rough edges. There's no mold lines on clockmaking tools. Most of them were all handmade. They're all really kind of buff and polished kind of thing. So I don't think they're clockmakers' tools either. Your mom was born in 1950. I think I had siblings. Well, I know I had siblings born about then somewhere. I didn't show up till 65, but my mom was born in 1929. And dad was born in 27, 28. Can't remember if they were 1 or 2 years difference. So, well, it's almost 9:30, and you guys have helped me get through the top part. We're not getting to that pile yet till I get these taken care of, because I only have so much space for the stuff that's on my eBay store. My eBay store has been filled with just little lightweight stuff because of because I couldn't lift anything. Really had enough fun trying to bend over to pack your stuff. But things are definitely getting better there. Got more room on the card table upstairs, which is good. And I don't expect there to be anything distracting me this weekend. Hope not. Hopefully the weather will hold too, and no rain yet. Now, next week, the 9th on a Wednesday. Yes. So next week, I'm still at 8:00. And next week, I will be on Trisha's sale on Wednesday on Sandy and Otto. I think that starts 4 p.m. Eastern time. So I'll be there. And then the next day is Thursday. And I will have a bunch of Easter stuff. And then they aren't supposedly not postponing Patrick's show from Trusty Huckster Mercantile. So then I should be back on St. Patrick's night. Is that the night the following Thursday? Yeah, the 17th. I should be back that night to being at 11 o'clock at night, at 11 o'clock at night with my night owls. So I should be going back to my old time. So I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do for that night, because it's St. Patrick's Day. And I'm Irish. Half. No. Yeah. Well, the Irish part is closer than the English part, because the Irish part, her photo's hanging in the hallway. So The British part's been, way, way, way back. The British part of the family came over here in 1683 on the ship the Charming Betty. Probably were kicked out of England for religious reasons. So, the Long family has been here a long, long time. So I don't think I can claim British blood at this point. But the Irish, well, she was County Limerick, Ireland, so we don't know the town, we just know the county. That's where her parents came from. But they may not have been, we don't know how long they were in Ireland or if they came from Scotland or not. So makes for a fun family tree. At least it's written in a language I can understand, because all the Kraus stuff and all the Trout stuff, you hit Germany and it's all in German and then I can't read it. So I haven't gotten very far on some of their family trees. So, well, Linda, I'm glad you had enjoyed the conversation. I'm looking forward to, having more stuff set up that we can, because right now I don't even have the space to do an unboxing and go through a box, but I also can't lift the box. So that always takes prep and planning. There's a box under here, but we'd already gone through that one. And they're still sitting there. Yes. Because if Mike and I's schedule are counter to each other, that's a real problem. Speaking of Mike, I just realized I don't hear him upstairs. He should be coming down the steps heading for work soon. He's got to be at work, I think, at 10. I don't know. He was playing Magic the Gathering before this started with friends online, and then, but we keep, once he's working, then I don't know if he's going to be on second or third, and we miss each other. So hopefully he'll be back to being always on thirds, and that makes it a lot easier to prep and set things up if I'm not online until 11, because then he can set it up before he leaves. So, well, I hope you guys had fun. Seven generations back isn't so bad. My grandmother, my dad's parents were 3 generations back related. They were second or third cousins. I live in Pennsylvania. We were talking about New York earlier because Camp Barton is one of the Boy Scout camps that our troop likes to go to. And it's up in New York. So, I want to go back. But Mincy, we're going to Mincy. Yes. I wanted us, the sad part is I've wanted us to go to Mincy because I wanted to do the mud hike, and now I can't. There's no way I could do the mud hike. The mud hike is a hike where they duct tape old sneakers, bring your oldest sneakers and your cruddiest clothes, and they will duct tape your sneakers to your feet, and you hike through the swamp and you end at the lake, and everybody dives into the lake to get the mud off of them. I have wanted to do that for years, and now I physically will not be able to. And I'm not happy about that, but I'm still going to go. So I do. Yes, Happy Hoarder. I have a huge job to do. And I started the channel and I started live sales. I should have waited on that. I got myself in over my head. I've lost some viewers because I didn't get their stuff shipped out in a timely manner. I'm still struggling with that. And it's made some people very unhappy, and I can't help it. I mean, I still need to have, that's why I'm trying to do sales every other week, and a chat or an unboxing or, work with me. We can get things set up to where we can work together in the upstairs bedroom that we're turning into an office for me. because there's so much here and you guys have saved my sanity. You will never know how much, because I'm not alone anymore dealing with all this stuff. And I've heard from some of you that don't have as big a inheritance or a stash or a death pile. I don't like to call them death piles. I call them resource piles. But, that have so much stuff, you too can get through it. We get through it together. We're going to do one little section at a time. We're going to get through it. We're going to get it done. My eBay store is doing pathetic because I just wasn't able to list. It takes me so long to prep for a sale because everything's in boxes. I don't have, unlike Jan, I'm so jealous that Jan has all those shelves. Yeah, it's a big money pile. But without shelving, you can't unpack to really see what you've got. And that's a real problem. That's a big problem. Stuff is stashed in boxes everywhere. It's crazy. I've got rooms I haven't even been taking you guys into because I can't get into them. Mostly the dining room. And there is a fireplace. I swear there's a fireplace up there. I swear. You guys have never seen it yet, but I swear there's a fireplace. You can see the stuff, sitting on the top of the mantle. It is there, I promise. Oh. Oh, Iris, that's great that you sold something. I haven't sold anything in a while, but that's okay. I only got 2 things added last week, but that's 2 things added. I'm gonna get these added, and then I have some other porcelain and glass that I have photos in my phone. We're gonna get them added. So I'm hoping that because one problem with trying to pack in the office, there's only one wall sconce light in that room, and it's on the far side of the room. It's not by the door, which is where the card table is for packing. So at night, I don't have enough light to see what I'm doing real well. And my glasses are getting so bad that I'm always looking through the bifocal now just to see anything. So, hopefully we can get back to that room. You need to do a big sale. Got 600 in the middle of April for your web hosting. Oh, yeah. Yeah, then you need to Iris, you have a web page or an eBay? Do you want to drop your eBay channel link in your eBay store, not eBay channel? Duh. Honestly, where's my brain? That's not what I want. I want, how do I find my own? I'm saying for if she can do it and I can't even find my own. Okay, visit store. Here we go. Oh, 9 hours? Yeah, because I'm in Delaware County. Okay, here is my eBay store. There's mine. And then Iris put hers in. Iris has some cool stuff. My stuff in the eBay store tends to be the stuff that isn't necessarily vintage, or if it is, it's not quite like you're going to see a lot more toys coming up on there. I know I have some unopened jigsaw puzzles stuffed in the pantry. That's another room you haven't been in because you can't get in the door, is the pantry. You're going to see a lot of books starting to show up on there too. Do I have any dollhouse furniture? Not that I found. Now I do have a dollhouse, and I'll have to get into that dining room because that's supposed to go to my nephew for my 2 great nieces for his 2 daughters. And that's another goal. That's a smaller goal to get that out the door this year. But I will do a video of that because all the furniture in that, except for 1 or 2 pieces that I'm keeping, are going with the house. The dollhouse was my mother's. Um, but I want to take my pump organ out of there that I made. I'd like to get that out of there and hang on to that. What's the standard dollhouse size? 1/6 scale? Is that the standard? Because that's the size. Because her dollhouse was a Queen Anne style, one of those painted lady kind of Queen Anne's. They never did finish it. It doesn't have the rail. 1 to 12. Oh yeah, no, this isn't Barbie doll. This is more like dolls that would be only like what, maybe 5 inches tall. So it's probably 112. If 1/6 is Barbie, then this is probably 112. It 1 to 12. I don't even know how to say that. That's all right. Somebody asked me when I had to do the "I'm not where I should be" video, where I was live in the Wawa parking lot. I think it was Doug asked if it was a road trip. If they still end up having it, it's called 1-to-1 scale. Oh, where 1 foot equals 1 inch. Okay. But I will might take you on a road trip, or at least a video of it, because the Tri-State Miniatures has their show usually like probably 15 minutes away from me, down I-95. They're usually in northern Delaware at the hotel. It's right off Naaman's Road and I-95. And I just got an email notice for their show in April, and I believe it's the first week of April. So my son and I like to go to that, and if we can, we're going to go, and I'm going to see if I can film some of it and put together a video for you guys. So we'll have a road trip, go see some miniature stuff, which would be so cool. Oh, wow. You sold the living room set featured. Oh, okay. Yeah, you do some wonderful plastic canvas stuff. Iris does some really cool crafted stuff. Or for a Christmas house. I did a Christmas house that I gave to my sister, and I've always wanted to make myself one. And it's a door stopper, and you put a brick in the back of it, but it's all plastic canvas. And I wanted to make myself one. Then I went ahead and I got some craft booklets from Jan from Antiques from Karen, only because it showed a haunted house one on one of the crafter things. It had like 4 or 5 different houses that were, I think 4, that were for different seasons. I wanted the haunted house one. I don't really care about the other craft booklets that came with it. I just wanted that one. Happy Hoarder, I saw that miniature challenge, and I'm thinking about it. I am thinking about doing it. We'll see. We'll see. So, all right. You guys have a good night. I think we'll give it a rest here, and I will see you, if you can, on Wednesday on Sandy and Otto on her sale on Wednesday afternoon. I'll be with Trisha, and then Thursday at 8 o'clock, I'll be having my sale, and I'll be having Easter stuff. I will start bringing Easter stuff. Okay? So you guys have a good night. I'm sure there's plenty of stuff live tonight still, because, there's always somebody live on this thing. I know when I start last week, oh man, when I started my live, there were 7 different people on that were live, including Chapter 2 Vintage Co. And I think Misty was on that night. And I was just dying because I'm like, I can't go up against Misty. No. But Jody Renshaw, I think, is still live right now. And Farm Girl Scavenger is also live. So, and Melanie, don't forget, Melanie starts her sale. The way she does it is that preview. Those will be starting at 10 o'clock tonight. And she'll have her too at 10 and 10:30. So you guys all have a good night. No, I can't do a 24-hour stream. I still have to figure out when and where is there space to have it. I have to have a party for having hit my 1,000 subscribers. So, and it's been sitting at 1,060 for months. Am I not going to get any more people? I can't even do that with a straight face. I just can't. I'm so happy to at least have 1,000 subscribers. Really, I am so thrilled. Because right now, guys, this now is my job. Because with the pinched nerve still and the other health issues, I had to leave Wawa. I hated it, but I had to leave Wawa. So this now is my income. And it's not enough. But we'll get there. I'll get it all sorted out one way or another. So, hope you guys all left a thumbs up. And I thank you for that. It apparently the algorithm all helps with the number of comments left in the chat, number of comments left after the video is done in the comment section, and the number of thumbs up it gets. All that apparently helps. And of course, once this is on the playback, I will monetize it. I don't monetize them when they're live because I don't want anybody to refresh and then have to sit through ads, especially if it's a sale. I'm just not going to have that. So okay, guys. So keep in mind what your big goal is for the year and whatever your little goals are for the year. We know my little goals are a couple of, there's some minor carpentry repairs I can do. That's the most tiny little goal. And then getting that Black Hole Challenge room is the intermediate size goal, but the roof is the big goal. The roof is a really big goal. The roof is scary because the roof is going to be even more money than it was to get that tree down. So we'll keep egging each other on. We'll keep checking in with each other. All right. You guys have a good night and have a good weekend if I don't see anybody in chats anywhere. And I'll see you guys next week on Wednesday and on Thursday. Okay? Have a good night. Iris got 5 shots of whiskey there. Should that be what I do that thing of buy me a tea? It should say buy me a whiskey. I'm almost out of whiskey too. Not going to be any more Glenfiddich because that stuff I've been hoarding for years. All right. Good night, all. Oh, Dr. Pepper. Oh, now you made me want a Dr. Pepper. I haven't had one in ages. Good night.